English Flow podcast.
From Speak English Flow Daily. Hello, English learners, and welcome back to the English Flow podcast, your go-to podcast for everyday English, natural conversations, and simple listening practice for daily life.
So good to be here. And today, we are getting into a topic that is genuinely life-changing when you get it right. How to negotiate a salary raise in English. Politely, professionally, and with confidence.
I want to start with a question. Have you ever sat across from your manager knowing you deserve more money, knowing you've worked hard, knowing your results speak for themselves, and still said absolutely nothing?
I think most people have been in that exact moment. You rehearse it in your head. You tell yourself, this is the day. And then the conversation starts and something freezes.
And here's what makes it even harder. When English is not your first language, it's not just the fear of asking for more money, it's the fear of sounding rude, of coming across as aggressive or ungrateful, of not finding the right words in the moment and either saying too little or saying something that damages the relationship entirely.
That fear is completely valid. Salary negotiation in English is loaded with social nuance. The same request can land completely differently depending on your word choice, your tone, and your framing. And when you're working in your second or third language, navigating all of that at once is genuinely difficult.
Which is exactly why we are dedicating this entire episode to it, at the B2 and C1 level. Not just what to say, but how to say it, when to say it, and what to avoid. By the time this episode ends, you will have real, usable phrases that sound natural, professional, and confident in any workplace setting.
Let's start with mindset, because I think this actually affects the language people choose. A lot of learners go into this conversation either too apologetic or too direct, both of which can backfire. What's the ideal frame of mind?
The most effective mindset is what I'd call collaborative rather than confrontational. You are not demanding. You are not begging. You are initiating a professional conversation about your value and your future within the organization. That shift in framing, from asking for something to discussing something together, changes everything about how you speak.
And that framing shows up immediately in your opening. Instead of walking in and saying, "I want a raise," which sounds blunt even in English, you open by requesting a dedicated conversation. Something like, "I was hoping we could find some time to talk about my role and compensation." That's measured, professional, and completely non-threatening.
I was hoping. That's such a useful construction at this level. It softens the request without weakening it. Other variations. I'd like to discuss something with you when you have a moment. Or, I've been wanting to bring something to your attention and I wanted to do it properly.
And timing matters enormously here, doesn't it? When is the right moment to have this conversation?
Absolutely. The worst time is when your manager is under pressure. A deadline, a difficult week, a company-wide issue. The best time tends to be after a visible win. After you've delivered a successful project, received positive feedback, or just completed a strong performance review. You want your value to already be fresh in their mind when you open the conversation.
In English, you might even reference that moment directly. Following the feedback from last quarter's review, I'd love to revisit my compensation package. The phrase revisit is really elegant here. It implies a respectful, professional review rather than an aggressive push.
I love that word for this context. Others in the same register, same level of formality and softness, include reassess, reconsider, and reflect on. All of them suggest a thoughtful process rather than a demand.
Now let's talk about making your case, because this is where a lot of people stumble. They say, "I deserve more," without backing it up. Or they bring in personal reasons. "My rent has gone up. I have a new baby," which rarely land well in a professional context.
The golden rule in salary negotiation is lead with contribution, not need. Your employer's concern is the value you bring to the organization, not your personal financial situation. So you frame everything in terms of what you have delivered and what you will continue to deliver.
Phrases like, Over the past year, I've taken on additional responsibilities, including, or, I've consistently delivered results above the targets we agreed on, particularly in, or, since joining the team, I've contributed to, which has had a measurable impact on. These are specific, evidence-based, and professional.
Notice the language is confident but not boastful. I've consistently delivered, rather than I'm the best person here. Measurable impact, rather than I single-handedly saved the department. The tone is grounded and factual, and that actually lands more powerfully than self-promotion.
It's counterintuitive, isn't it? The quieter confidence often reads as more credible than the loud version.
Completely. And then there's the market comparison angle. At B2 and C1 level, you should know how to reference external benchmarks without sounding like you're issuing an ultimatum. You might say, based on what I've seen across the industry for this level of role and experience, I believe a salary in the range of X to Y would be appropriate. That word, appropriate, is doing a lot of work there. It's calm, factual, and invites dialogue rather than resistance.
And if you want to soften it even further, I've done some research into current market rates and wanted to share what I found. I'd love to hear your thoughts. That last part, I'd love to hear your thoughts, is excellent because it invites the manager into the conversation. It's collaborative, not combative.
Let's also talk about handling pushback, because this is where people often fall apart. The manager says something like, "The budget is tight right now," or "We'll look at it again in 6 months." What do you say?
The worst thing you can do is either capitulate immediately, "Oh, okay, no problem," or escalate. "Well, I've had other offers." Neither serves you well. The most effective response acknowledges what they've said and keeps the conversation constructive. Something like, "I completely understand and I appreciate your transparency. Could we agree on a timeline and the specific milestones that would support a salary review?"
That response is brilliant for several reasons. I appreciate your transparency shows emotional intelligence. Asking for a timeline and milestones turns a vague deferral into a concrete commitment, and it keeps you both aligned, working toward the same outcome rather than in opposition.
Other useful phrases for handling pushback. "I understand the constraints. Could we explore other elements of the package in the meantime, such as additional leave or professional development support?" That signals flexibility. Or, "I'm fully committed to this role. I just want to make sure we're aligned on where I stand and where I'm heading."
That phrase, "where I stand and where I'm heading," is beautifully professional. It communicates both your current value and your ambition without any trace of threat. It's the kind of language that makes a manager think this person is serious, mature, and worth investing in.
What about the actual number? How do you name a figure without it feeling awkward?
Name a range, not a single number. A range shows you've done your research and gives the conversation room to breathe. And always anchor slightly above your actual target. Not unrealistically so, but enough that if they meet you somewhere in the middle, you're still satisfied. You might say, "Based on my research and experience level, I was thinking somewhere in the range of X to Y would reflect the contribution I'm making."
And whatever the outcome, always close graciously, whether they say yes, no, or not yet. Thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation. I genuinely appreciate it. That leaves the relationship intact, regardless of the result.
Today, we covered a lot of ground, from the mindset and timing of a salary conversation to the specific language for making your case, handling pushback, and naming a figure with confidence. All of this vocabulary works across professional contexts, far beyond just salary negotiation.
If this episode helped you, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We'd really love it if you shared it with someone who might be facing this exact conversation. And do check the pinned comment. There's a short speaking challenge ready for you.
You've got everything you need. Now, go have that conversation. We'll be here with you every step of the way.
Take good care, everyone, and we will see you in the next episode.
Keep learning and keep growing. Bye!
Your English learning journey doesn't stop here. Continue building your confidence and fluency with the next episode of the English Flow podcast. Click the next video and keep progressing, one conversation at a time.